Let's take a tour of Cannon Beach today. In this video, we're going to drive you through town, show you some drone footage, and give you a better overall feel for what it's like in Cannon Beach. If you're new to this channel, living on the Oregon coast, we show you what it's like to eat, sleep, play, work, all the pros and cons of living on the Oregon coast. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure and hit the subscribe button, tap the bell, that way you'll be notified every time we drop a new video, which is every week. And if you're somebody that's thinking about moving here, as licensed brokers in the state of Oregon, as much as we like making these videos, we'd love to help you move here. So you can call us, text us, email us, or even click the link below in the description if you want to get into our calendar and schedule a Zoom call with us. No matter how you get in touch with us, we've got your back when it comes to moving to the Oregon coast. Seth Marchant with the Home Team Brokers here. It's a great day for a drive through Cannon Beach. Cannon Beach is in Clatsop County. Clatsop County extends just to the south down to Arch Cape and then all the way up to the north to Astoria. Beyond that to the south you'll find Tillamook County. According to U.S. Census, the population in Cannon Beach was about 1690 back in 2010. It's below 1600 now, 1547 as of 2020. We'll talk a little bit about why the population has gone down here in just a moment. Average household size is 2.1, which is the lowest in Clatsop County, and those two things that I just mentioned sort of tied in together. Again, we'll get into that here in just a moment. For any other town of this size, one thing about the Oregon coast is that you will find commercial vacancies and some kind of rundown, like dilapidated buildings, pretty common of towns that are maybe population of like 500 or 1,000 or maybe just over. And that's kind of true along most places on the Oregon coast, regardless of size. But that's actually not the case in Cannon Beach. And that's because Cannon Beach is really one of the most, if not the most, sort of subjective, but the most popular town along the Oregon coast. Cannon Beach has won quite a few awards and titles such as Best Overall Beach in Oregon, one of America's Best Art Towns, one of the world's 100 Most Beautiful Places according to Nat Geo. And the name itself comes after a naval canal that washed up on shore after a shipwreck in the 1840s. The town itself has a really kind of secluded feel to it. A lot of towns along the Oregon coast sit along Highway 101, so they get a lot of through traffic, such as Seaside just to the north or Lincoln City to the south. You get a lot of people traveling along the 101 on the Oregon coast from all over the country, really actually all over the world. But Cannon is just off the 101, so in a lot of ways that kind of gives it this just more secluded feel, because you have to turn off of the highway to get here. So everyone that's here isn't just people that are passing through, again, like a lot of other towns along the Oregon coast. So it would probably be a lot more congested if that was the case. And the downtown, as you're going to see here in just a moment, is very small, and they get about 1,000 visitors per year. As you might imagine, summertime is peak season. It gets very busy. Parking can be a challenge. Might have to drive around to find a spot for a while type of thing. Seen a lot of long lines at restaurants. Last time I was at Pelican Brewery, that was about a 45-minute wait. So you might want to factor that in when you're visiting, especially during peak season. And by the way, you got Pelican coming up just right here on the right corner right there. And that's going to be true of accommodations as well. Accommodations can be tough to book during peak season, so you definitely want to book early when it comes to Cannon Beach. One thing you'll probably notice that's really cool about Cannon Beach is a lot of the accommodations for the hotels here are oceanfront or have ocean views, which is really what people are looking for when they want to get that like full Oregon coast experience. As you'll probably notice, you see some of the houses here. Most of the houses are shingled houses. They've got that weather type of look to it, kind of giving Cannon Beach that really kind of quintessential beach town feel. Now, if you Google search images of the Oregon coast, or if you ever see like a picture outside of Oregon in like a place like an art gallery that's of the Oregon coast, oftentimes it's going to be that famous Haystack Rock at Cannon Beach. In a way, the entire town is sort of a quintessential Oregon coast. Big attraction for Cannon Beach is Aquila State Park, which is just to the north. So if you're coming from the north, which a lot of people are, because just the north is where you connect at Highway 26, which is where people from Portland are usually that's the highway they're taking to travel out west. So because you get a lot of traffic from Portland coming south, that Aquila State Park is just to the right before you get into the town. You also find a little bit lesser known Indian Beach in Aquila State Park. You might find it's a little bit less crowded there. If you look on a map, you'll notice there are quite a few state parks around Cannon Beach, whether it's to the north or to the south. Now we're to the part of town where you've probably got the greatest concentration of restaurants and businesses, and this is where you'll find a lot of the tourism. The beach is just to the left. You've got beach access for maybe the next 5 or 6 blocks or so. So if you go left on any one of these streets, you'll be able to access the beach. Again, parking is going to be a different story. A lot of the public parking is going to be to the right, so to the east of Hemlock, which is the road that we're on right now. And this is where you're going to find the greatest concentration of your restaurants, art galleries, lots of gift shops. There's a handful of markets here, a few good places to get some candy and desserts. So what's the real estate market look like here? Well, the median listing and the median sold is just above 7 figures, so low 7 figures, which makes this really the most expensive real estate on the entire Oregon coast. Cannon Beach has really kind of exploded over the last few years. Obviously, the real estate market has been really hot for the last 2 years throughout most of the country. The Oregon coast is no exception, and Cannon Beach is probably seeing about as much, if not more, growth in value than anywhere else along the Oregon coast. You only have to go back maybe 3 years or so to find home prices probably being pretty close to about half of where they were now. About a third of the homes here are occupied full-time, which is obviously pretty low. Not super uncommon for the Oregon coast. A lot of second homes and vacation homes here. If you look to the left real quick, that covered structure, you can kind of make it out just going back. There's a whale underneath that, sculpture of a whale underneath that covered structure. I'll give you a story on that here in just a moment. But back to the real estate market and the population as we get to the end of town here, and I'm going to take you up in the air for an aerial view. So population decreased in the past 10 years. Reason being is people that are working here just are simply priced out with this real estate being so expensive. So that's why you've seen the kind of the population dip over the past 10 years. Not a whole lot of places where population has dipped in the past 10 years along the Oregon coast. Typically, if you do see that, it's usually not a good sign. In this case, it's because the popularity has exploded so much and the real estate's so expensive. So locals that are working here are just quite frankly priced out of the market. As I'm making this, there's about 15 listings on the market right now. Inventory is low throughout most of the Oregon coast and the state and the country. It has actually seen a slight uptick, which is pretty uncommon for this type of year because normally you see peak inventory come around August to late September. In this case, actually, inventory is peaked up for, not necessarily for Cannon Beach, but the entire state of Oregon as a whole into October, which is incredibly common. So normally inventory is going to go down. That has a lot to do with interest rates in the current markets. So it's been a seller's market for the last couple of years, kind of getting closer towards a buyer's market. So if you're thinking about buying a home in Cannon Beach or somewhere else, or if you have questions about moving here, you can call us, text us, email us anytime. And back to the whale story, I'm going to give you a little history on that. Whale at the beginning of Hemlock Street. If you're probably walking Cannon Beach, you'll probably notice it. William Clark, one of the leaders of the Lewis and Clark expedition, who initially came here searching for that passageway from the west to the east. They came down to Cannon Beach in the early 1800s. Their expedition was staying in Fort Clatsop, which is in Astoria. Definitely check it out. It's pretty cool if you're ever up that way. It's maybe 20 miles to the north. Early 1800s in December, 2 members of the expedition returned to camp with blubber from a whale that had beached several miles south near the mouth of Aquila Creek. So Clark later came and explored the region himself and actually several companions, including Sacagawea, probably heard that name before. They completed a 3-day journey on January 10th of 1806 to the site of the beached whale. They encountered a group of Native Americans from the Tillamook tribe who were boiling blubber for storage. Clark and his party met up with them and bartered for 300 pounds of blubber and some whale oil, returning back to Fort Clatsop. And there's that whale sculpture that sort of commemorates that encounter that their group had with the Tillamooks. So a little bit of history for you there. All right, I'm going to leave you to the rest of this video to watch a little bit of drone footage. Again, reach out to us if you have questions about moving to the Oregon coast, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure and subscribe.